everyone, like in our life, we have that kind of aha moment.
Welcome to The Executives, the show where we navigate in the intricate world of executive leadership, exploring strategies, insights, and personal stories of successful professionals shaping the global business landscape. I'm your host, Majid, and today joining us is Hanyan, who is currently pursuing an MBA with the ESCP Business School. She has over 6 years of experience working in customer success, sales, and account management for companies like LinkedIn, PatSnap, and many more. I am happy to welcome Hanyan. Ni hao, huan yang chang Hanyan, lai tao wota pin dao.
Thank you, Majid. Hello, everyone. This is Hanyan Zhang. I'm from China. I'm used to be a salesperson. I'm an MBA now, and I'm a passionate dancer. I'm currently doing my MBA at the ESCP Business School. And before, I used to work in Shanghai, and my background is related to technology, IT, SaaS, and human capital space.
Nice, nice. So before we talk about the question, I want to ask, did I do justice to Chinese or was I messed up completely?
No, it's good.
It's good. So, okay, for the first
Yes.
time, someone speaking Chinese, it was good. So, our topic that we have for discussion today is exploring the intersection of sales and business education, insights and strategies for personal growth. So, we would love to understand your story, your experiences. How have you evolved over the period of time? So, because you started with a career in customer success, right? So, what was the reason that actually motivated you to pursue a career?
This is a very good question, Majid. I think everyone, like in our life, we have that kind of aha moment. So for me, my story was like one day, I think at the age of 26 or 25, when I used to work for PetSnap, and one day after a conference with my customer, I sit in the conference room and I constantly ask myself a question like, why did the client buy it? I think that question changed me somehow because when I did my job at customer success role, I taught customer how to use products, how to use all the functions to the production for their life and their business. But when I asked myself of the question like, why did they buy? I started to think about, something, the arranging of business and what's the logic behind. So what's a business problem that they solve? So that question led me the way to becoming a great salesperson. Because the next day, then I knocked the door of the sales director and had a conversation with him, asked him about like, okay, can you give me an answer, or I want to have a try of being sales. So I think behind it, I'm a self-driven people, always hope to ask bigger question and achieve a bigger vision. So that's the thing that's I realize that's that's my moments of career change.
You said something that is about generally, I feel it is very true, which is curiosity. You need to be
Yes,
curious about things, Otherwise, you might be doing something. If you're not curious, you cannot actually do anything, or you cannot grow. Like, even if you're in one single unit, right? Sales or product management or development, if you're not curious, it becomes really hard for you to grow as a professional. So it's very practical that you said you basically saw that you asked a question, why did this person
yes.
buy? So did you figure it out yourself? Why did that person buy the product, or no?
I would say it's a process because for us in professional life, it's easily that if you, for example, if you are a customer success role, you tend to think the problem with your role, or if you're like project manager, you're thinking in that way. But actually, the reason why customer buy is behind it is like all aspects. You need to discover about their business, their personal needs, their like the business environment. It's kind of a series of questions that you need to answer and you need to discover, then you shall have the answer. So for me, the way and the process of me being a sales is that is the core and the key question driven me to ask more questions in any situation. And especially in an organization, why customer buy? It's a question like not related to one person. Maybe it's different departments, different people, from CEO to CFO to HR to even like the individual person. They have different answers. So if you want to answer that question, you need to talk with different people and use a lot of questions to get the answers like with a whole picture. So that's it. Yeah.
Interesting. And then once you were in sales, you decided to pursue an MBA. So what was the motivation behind like going from sales, because you were doing good in your sales job, right? Or account management. But then you decided to pursue further, which is like one of the hardest decisions to say that, okay, I will stop making money now for 1-2 years, however long is the MBA, and go and study again, because that is really hard full-time education after working for a good time. So what motivated you there? What was the reason that you decided for an MBA?
I think it's still in other moments, because I am the person really love to question a lot, and I love to find my own question and give my own answer. The moment was when I used to work for LinkedIn, and it was quite nice. I made a lot of big deals. I had a lot of amazing customer and relationship. But one day when I had also it's like that interview with one of the CHRO in a big company, I asked him, "What's your definition of people with global mindset?" And he told me, "Okay, so if you are the person you never live abroad or you live outside of your world for a long time, how can you say you're a global mindset person?" Because the reason drove me to pursue MBA is I really hope to be a person with global perspectives, with strategies, with mission, that I can make decision in a more complex context. So in terms of that, if you know what you want, actually everything in your life becomes like different options, which means you're not losing something because you pursued something. Then that you choose to forgive something in a short time, but you know you will get something in a longer time. So always it's about, there's one sentence like risk is something, consequence that you pursued opportunities. So I'm truly the person always hope to dream big and achieve more. So I will tend to say like MBA is a great period of time for me to meet more people, to live in a more diverse community, and to learn more knowledge related to the whole business picture.
Interesting, because MBA is, for me, I don't say it's masters in business administration. I call it masters of business and administration, because you tend to learn how business works, you tend to learn about administration, and it is actually really amazing. Like it's, you build a bigger network. And one thing you mentioned about getting out of your own, that your manager told you about, how can you say it about global management experience when you have never even left your own workspace, so that's also very true, because we like we both are based in Germany right now. So we come from different cultural backgrounds. The culture of Pakistan and the culture of China are different, even though it's Asia. Pakistan and China are both Asia, but there are still differences. So if you don't understand what is right and wrong for me, and I don't understand that, I have no global experience, right? So I mean, I'm sure some things I will do might be wrong in the culture of China, and some things you might do might be wrong. But that's because we come from different backgrounds, right? But these are very valuable things that you're mentioning. And keeping on the topic of learnings and general experience, so And you mentioned you worked at LinkedIn as an account director, right? So what was your key learning from your experience working as an account director?
If we come back to like the account director role, it is someone actually experienced in a quota carrying sales role. So you oversee client projects and you need to build strong relationship with your clients. So it's a role that you have to plan projects, coordinate various teams, and manage resources to reach clients' goal. It's a role. So for me, I think I have been doing this job for almost 3.5 years, and I would say like this role really need to be extremely strategic and focused because, for example, I used to have 30 or 40 clients. If I don't have that much time to cover like all the clients your need. So before that, the most important thing is to do industry analysis, like customer resource analysis, and you need to plan your inputs. For me, I used to like to think about what is like 20% of my key accounts that I need to devote 80% of my energy to in-depth serve them. And for the remaining like 80% of my clients, how can I design a common service approach or leverage other resources to scale the service and deliver also a good experience? So that's the thing I really learned from that role is how to invest your time and recognize who are your key customers.
Interesting, interesting. Now, I wonder about two things. So the first one is you mentioned about relationships, client relationships. So, and this is a question I've been getting a lot. Like, Majid, how do we make and ensure that we have a like not only customer relation, but we have a business relation, with someone? Should we send them a birthday message? Should we send them a Happy New Year? So, first question is, how do you actually find people who you should network with?
Well, I would say putting the customer first is, in nowadays is already at the center of many organizations' strategy. But what is called customer-centered or customer relationship, it's really not that you take, listen to their needs and you take your products or you provide your service or you send like Happy New Year, Happy Christmas message to them. I would say it's mindset. It's about whether you can completely break yourself, forget about yourself, the product, your company, but in terms of the core of business needs. For example, what I always in the past like I thought about is not what I have to sell to my customer, not what kind of product that my company provide, but what kind of problem the customer is talking about. First, you need to build trust with the customer to let them to listen carefully. What kind of problem they're talking about, they're facing, and how I can help them to solve them. When I got to listen, it's like I sharpen myself into a knife into the other side of the most concerned about the problem, the real business problem. Then I will go to think about, okay, how can I help them solve the problems with all the resources or everything related to it? So I would say the first thing is truly solving problems. You need build trust, you need build intimacy, and you need to listen. The second thing is how to build strong customer relationships. We should realize that customer, or to say the companies, are made of people, right? So who is your customer? You definitely have a lot of customer. Even, for example, you have one client, but can you build relationship with C-level, higher level? Can you build relationship with the manager level? that like the individual person, they like to complain a lot about their situation and hope you give their answers, like solutions. In the past, I had a request that for myself, I like to give myself different goals, but at least, for example, for my key customer, I still remember that for that one company, there were 66 contacts of that company in my phone. Like I built connection, I built deep relationship with all levels, related person, different departments, because that's way how you truly understand their questions with the facts, but not assumptions. So that's I would say very important.
Interesting. And when you say about listen to your potential customer or customer, are you talking about just sitting down with them and asking them their problems, or how should someone approach this?
Well, I think listening is an art. It's not about asking, because in a lot of situations that people think, okay, listening is I give you a question and you answer, I get the answer, that's the end. Actually, listening is observing. It's not related to your question. Actually, it's like you're constantly opening new doors, because one important, maybe just a clue or something that if you deep dive, then there's a big problem behind. So you should first really empty all of yourself, your assumptions, your questions, but just be extremely focused and put yourself in that person. Because here's a question for some people, maybe they just started sales role, or the role related. I think it's very important, first to understand your solutions or your products. But if you go to customer side, talking less, listening more, try to ask more questions, try to understand the questions not with context of your solution, but with the customers business environments. And it's like conversation, it's like invitation, that you inspire your customers to talk more. Then you shall have the real understanding of the real situation. Yeah.
That's very nice, because I have seen some sales guys who are too pushy, that, hey, buy our solution, it's going to solve all the problems for you, without even listening to the problems of the customers, and they end up selling the solution, but they also end up losing the customer very quickly. It's something I have seen personally, like the sales guy signed the customer, good amount of money, but then after 2 months, the customer said, we are out because we don't think it's a good match, because it was over promising, was a lot of lies happening, because the sales guys was like, yeah, do you have this feature? Yes, of course, you will have this by within 1 month. And he or she doesn't even talk with the development team, the product team, just keeps promising everything. So it is vital that you listen, and I have seen that happening a lot with salespeople, not actually talking with internal stakeholders, internal people actually who are building the product.
Actually, it's not just about listening, because you just mentioned a lot of people too pushy, or they just hope to get their own win. So in my understanding, I pursued the business in a more sustainable way. I would say sustainable success, which means if you treat or you take things as like one-time deal, of course that you say, okay, I just hope to win this time and get the money. I don't care about the after. But it's really a short-term run. If you think long-term way perspective, I think the best way in business is win-win. Which means that I cannot. It means I want to win this time, but I also want to constantly win. So how could I constantly win? Of course, you need to build trust. You need to, don't over promised. You need to commit to customer what you can do, and you also need to tell them what is what's your constraint and your limitation, so that you can build better trust. And after you build win-win, then your customers, not only they will renew with you because they trust you, but also they will bring more customers to you. That's how business win, right? So I think all the not salesperson, but all the professional person should better to think in that way. Like, how can I build bigger success, not just for the short term one, but also for long term one.
Let's talk about your success, because you mentioned your process, how you actually build these relations. So what has been your biggest success that you have seen in your career?
Of course, that into my last previous companies, I really used limited time to become the top sales in both companies, also LinkedIn. But I don't want to mention that part. I want to mention what made me feel very fulfilled was in the process. If your target to achieve win-win and in a longer run, then you will think about, okay, what kind of win that I can bring not only to myself, but to my customers, to the people, to organization, and to companies. When you think in that way, then you start to see the bigger picture. For example, there was one company is a very big brand. That customer, they hope to enter Chinese market. So they came to me and we talked about their hiring problems, and I provided them with a hiring solution or something. But then I discovered, so they have a potential. Another problem is because their C-level is a foreigner. He just started his career in China, so he hoped to build his personal branding in Chinese market to let more people understand who he is, like what kind of ideas he could bring to the whole industry. So besides my daily job, I also leveraged a lot of resources to interview him, to deep dive about his idea related, and publish different articles in different things, and build a lot of like events to make him have more possibilities to talk with industrial people. So after that, not only his organization but also himself and all the like related people, it's a connection built by two companies. It's not I'm a bridge, but I would say I'm a successful bridge that I can always leverage resources to solve the problems in different levels and achieve bigger one. Yeah.
Interesting. Because like you mentioned first about word of mouth, and then you also mentioned with this the example of the CEO who was trying to build a brand. That's also word of mouth, right? Because at the end of the day, if he is known, he has an image created, people will trust him more. Like people will know, okay, whatever the name of the person was, this guy is the person I can actually rely or go to for helping with this XYZ service. So that's actually a brilliant point. Word of mouth is the best marketing tool. I have seen so many case studies where the business was actually built by only word of mouth, no other advertising, because they spent so much money on just making the customer happy. It was customer success, it was the sales experience, it was generally the whole process of signing a contract, and afterwards, after sales service, in software as well, training, onboarding, and so on. Which is also like for me, whenever I buy a software, I need to make sure that my team or I am not like confused on how to use the software. I have had seen softwares where I bought the software for a lot of money, but then we were struggling with the things like just how do we even use this properly, because we were not even our systems were not optimized. And then when we wrote a message to the company, they didn't even respond back. Like I waited for like a week, and then I was like, if this is how we are being treated as a premium customer that we are paying, so I would not do business then. I immediately told them we are canceling the contract. Then they started coming behind us, hey, no, we are sorry for the inconvenience and blah, blah, blah. But the problem is what you mentioned. It's about the whole experience. If they gave me a good experience, then I would have stuck with them for a longer time. And the thing is, when I switched my job, then after that, I needed exactly the same solution. And now, surprise, surprise, I did not go to the first company which I was using. I said, because their customer support was really bad, let's go to another one which we were using before. So if you're in a domain, like for example, if I am the HR director, right, of a company, and I'm always hiring people, and even if I change my job from one company to the other one, I still know I can reach out to Hanyan for help, like for buying a solution, because I know Hanyan takes the responsibility. She's helping, she's making sure we are trained properly, she's making sure in addressing the problems. So these are all, I think, this is all connected with importance of client relationships as well, right?
Exactly. So I think at least in business, because you are not only yourself, but also you're representing your company. So provide them with a professional service is one part, but also, to bring credibility and reputation is very important to let customer feel like it's really a good company is serving them. So you're not only build connection with a person, by your individual parts, but also you are presenting your company's things. That's very important, I think, for professional person. And I totally agree with you that provide the best experience to customers is the most important thing, and you always need to overachieve their expectations. You need to first manage their expectations, because you need to see all the potential risks in the process, but at the moment you manage their expectation and overachieve their expectation, makes them satisfied, makes them happy customers, and you build a good connection and a relationship with them. Yeah.
Because this is like, I have seen this so many times happen with me. There was, I think, 2012, no, 2012, 2011. I got a system, but then I left the company, and then the guys were really good. And the guy I was in talks with for sales, he was super nice, very friendly. And then afterwards, in 2019, when I was looking for a system, so I saw the company on LinkedIn, and I open up who's working there, if I know someone who's working there, so I can ask them, hey, can you connect me with someone who's in the EMEA region? So I opened it up. I saw that the same person was working, and he was responsible for EMEA region. So I sent him a message, let's have a conversation. And he turned out to be our sales guy then again, account manager. They didn't have sales then, they had account management. So he turned out to be our account manager, and I was so happy. So we didn't do business for, imagine, 2012 or 2011 till 2019. So 8 years
Yes.
we didn't do business, like nothing. We were in touch, hello, how are you, what's happening? But like after 8 years as well. And then after that, I was always telling my friends, who are you looking, hey, we need this solution, can you help us? I was like, yeah, go to this guy. So it's the power of network.
Yes.
Mm. And now we talked a little bit about successes, but sales also come with challenges, and you have to overcome challenges, because um, I see challenges are problems, but they can be solved. So what have you seen in sales being the biggest challenges, and how did you overcome them?
To be honest, I would say as a salesperson, you face more failures, much more failures than success, because sales is a job that it's so hard. You are convincing people to buy stuff, but normally, it's a lot of situations that first maybe the people or customers easily they change their mind or their needs changed, but you still need to like achieve your quota and the thing. So I would say it's a very unpredictable work. But personally, for me, I think what's my biggest learn from my job is to leave room for the unexpected things and shift an open mind, because for one part you enjoy achieving big results, like to build good connections with customers, for the good sales part, but in other parts you also need to learn to be comfortable with uncertain and be adaptive. For example, the pandemic changed a lot when it just happened, a lot of those things shut down, and you and your customers, all the organizations in this world, they became crazy, right? So for that kind of things, I think stay focused on learning and maybe develop, at that moment, at least for me, I just focus on learning and develop my skills and the things I could do. And I think in the quickly changing world of work, these things are always, proof most useful. And so you're open-minded, that you're constantly developing your skills, and you put your energy to the customer, but maybe they could need your help. So that's the way I think you should do. And also, shape some resilience is very important. Be adaptive to change, have a growing mindset, and constantly don't stop learning. That's very important. So there's one sentence for me that is very important, is in our life, it's not everything that is smooth sailing. If you're a ship, smooth sailing is good, but riding waves is much better. So it's like the thing that you not only be adapt to challenges, but also you shape yourself to a more adaptive person.
No, that's nicely put. I mean, we have something as well similar to those words about if our lives were supposed to be a straight line, right? We would never actually have experience. We would basically just be machines, like doing the same thing every day, no growth, no positive, no negative. I mean, no happiness, no sadness. You will just be the same, like a stagnant person every single minute, every single day, every single year. So this thing about what you mentioned about the sales or the ship, it's very true, because whenever I see whenever I'm feeling super down, I know that after a dark night there is going to be a sun shining. So there is something going to be waiting for me. Or other quotation is more like light at the end of the tunnel. So, but then again, there can be another tunnel after 500 meters. So be prepared. So this is, which is really cool. And you also mentioned about things evolving, which brings me now to my next question about how do you see the role of sales evolving, especially considering there is so much tech coming now with AI, chat GPT, or every platform is integrating somehow AI into their systems. How do you see the role of sales changing?
From my own perspective, I think, yes, AI would change a lot of things, like the way how we work, the way how organization behaves, and it bring like efficiency and productivity to help us life and work easier. But in terms of sales role, I would say AI cannot change that much, because sales is not just a science, it's an art. It's about how to communicate, how to understand, how to organize, how to prioritize, and how to deliver. So it's a whole process that maybe AI can bring more ideas to like give me an example of how to write an email to my customer, but it will never understand what's the key problems for customers. You still need people to deliver and to explore. So I would say, of course, and in my understanding, that's also my starting points of pursuing the MBA. For salesperson, you should have multiple skills, not only about sales skills like communication, negotiation, etc., but also the new knowledge to understand like digital transformation, what customers they are talking about, their concern, right? What's the new platforms they are using, like in no matter in HR function or marketing or R&D, because salesperson, I think sales role is something you really need to multiply and constantly upgrading your knowledge so that you can have a equal conversation with your customer. You don't want to leave behind your customer. Like if they are talking something related and you don't know, then it's gonna be a mess. People won't trust you. So I would say upgrading your knowledge, understanding what's trendy thing, then you can talk with your customer about it. And also, I think leverage these kind of AI tools to work smart is also very important. Yeah.
That's very, very good advice, because a lot of times people are right now still scared that AI will take your job. And I'm like, I don't see that as a problem. I see AI as an assistant or a helper, like you mentioned, like for example, what you said, it can help you write the email, but one, it doesn't know the problem, and two, it will not send the email. Someone has to go and know I have to send my email to Hanyan, and then I have to click the send button. I mean, otherwise, AI will not know that when should I contact Hanyan. Maybe Hanyan was off, on holiday or something. I mean, there are ways you can automate and reduce your effort, which is something I do see as a very positive thing, like using AI smartly, like you mentioned. Like they say, right? Work hard, but work smarter.
Yes. And I think the thing is, if you cannot figure out what is the kind of work have higher value, of course you're scared that okay, AI will replace my job. Because if you define your value and your work like these kind of things that can repeat, of course machine do faster than you, right? It won't make mistakes. But if you can see bigger things, bigger picture, like you train this machine to do things for you, then things will be much easier and you will have a really good assistant, I would say. So it's about learning and it's about understanding. Yeah, like you said, it's very important.
I mean,
Yeah.
I know people who are now, I would say they are experts at ChatGPT, because they are very good with their actual jobs. But now they said, you know what, AI is not going away. So why don't we see how can we integrate AI into our normal day? And their skill set has become like not 1x, but they have improved like 100x over the last 3 4 months. I have seen that personally, where people just improve on top of what they have been doing for the last 10 12 20 years, and now they accepted AI. They were like, yeah, cool. So I'm not going to do this myself. AI will do it for me. I will take it from there. So, and it's a really good tool. Or sometimes when you're confused, like sometimes I'm struggling with words, like I know what I want to say to the other person, but I'm not sure how should I put it best, and then I give it like points, and
Yeah.
ChatGPT immediately, bam, here is the sentence. And then I understand what it's saying. I change it into my tone again, because the way Majid or Hanyan speak is different, you know. And the thing is, this is what often people don't understand, that you can immediately tell, because if I know Hanyan, because I've met you, we talked before, we talked now, also we talked in the event. I know how you talk. And if you send me an email where I can immediately see that, okay, this is not how Hania normally writes an email. So
Yes.
it
Yeah.
immediately then.
Yeah, it's very
Hmm.
interesting because you mentioned about the emotional connection part that it has to build by two human. We are human beings.
Hmm.
We hope to feel that temperature when we are communicating to each other, right? Also, like I think AI cannot help us making decision. That's the key decision you have to make by yourself. It just help to improve efficiency. Like you said, maybe have more options that you use your word more accurate. That's the best thing, but it cannot replace the key part of our communication.
I'm using a lot of AI tools in my day to day as well, like trying to help me always, and I'm seeing how can I automate, and it has reduced my things I was doing like a lot. I'm able to focus like 20-25% of my time on more complex things, putting up better processes for teams, which is super cool. But now let's talk about your MBA, because I'm also super curious about how is MBA post COVID, because I did MBA like long ago before COVID. So how does a day in the life of an MBA student now in 2024 look like?
A typical student's MBA life, but also it's like you have, for me, for example, I had a lot of courses last semester. I studied in Paris, and this semester I studied in Berlin. So there are a lot of courses related to accounting, finance, marketing, HR, big data that help you to understand the whole picture of business and how different things organize and work together. But for another part, I think MBA is very goal driven. That you network with people, you use your previous experience and your professional skills that it helps you open like new doors. For example, I will like attend several different activities, events to talk to people, also to share different insights with them. And I think MBA it's something, it's like student life, but it's not the end, because you understand, for all MBAs, they understand they have to achieve the business goals after MBA. So I would prefer to think that, after MBA, how I can leverage this knowledge and insights I got from my classroom, and I can learn it and reflect it in my work before or after the class. That's the most important part. And also for me, like I also enjoy the exploration and the diversity brought by the MBA cohort. Because imagine you have a community like all the students from like 80 students from almost 30 different countries, different backgrounds, different working experience and backgrounds, which largely can open up my mind, I would say, because you can think in a different way. Diversity is not only about your nationality or your gender or like age. It's more related to mindsets. It's how people think. Maybe you have some conflicts, but that's a way how you check your blind spots and you can become like a better person. So that's the part I really enjoy.
No, that's true. I mean, MBA actually was like, it told me I'm an engineer, so a typical engineer, I'm more, I was on the introverted side than the extroverted before, but now I'm an ambivert. I have the capacity that I can switch between being an introvert and extrovert. But what I saw during the MBA was that I was able to understand each and every department of the company, regardless, finance, marketing, product management, I mean, technology, legal, because that's what MBA did. Like, it started teaching me that there is not just your tiny little team, there is a bigger picture. You need to look at the bigger picture and connect yourself with this bigger picture at the end of the day. So, I mean, I love an MBA. I did it also from Germany, and I was super happy because it changed my perception a lot. And what you mentioned about this culture thing, our MBA program was much, we didn't have that many students. We had, I think, like 30, 35 in total. But the diversity in nationalities was like, we were having arguments, because like a problem that the professor gave us a case study. It was very fascinating to see that if someone comes from Pakistan, reaches it out in a completely different manner, because that's culturally or diverse, or culturally appropriate, and the person from Germany is doing a exact opposite thing. I mean, it's very interesting to see that how, they're different. And then we were arguing about it, and then we have to come up with a solution. And now, especially when you start working in Germany, you will see that you will have a very diverse team. It's very hard to have a team from a single country if you're living in Germany. And if you're having a diverse team, how do you make sure then that you're not doing or saying anything that you're disrespectful to the other people? Yeah, because I would not like to be disrespectful. I try that I am very respectful to the other people, and but it is also important that people understand that if someone says something, we have to listen, not only from sales perspective that you mentioned in sales, but also in professional life, in your team, you have to listen. And that's, I think, also MBA trains to be better in listening to generally other people.
Yeah, it's very important. I think you mentioned one thing is that understanding. Because we came from very big different backgrounds. So can you totally understand the other person and respect them? That's also make us like to learn how to collaborate with each other, right? Because you face a lot of conflicts. cultural things. So you should constantly adapting yourself to that thing. You can have a better communication. So that's very important. Yeah.
Cool. No, that's very interesting, to be honest. But because we are
Yeah.
also almost running out of time, and I would love to understand a few more things. That is, how do you stay updated with the latest technology trends or latest trends and best practices?
I talk to people, like I talk to, for example, clients. Also, I talk to some experts in industry and interview them. I focus on sometimes some case studies, including technical one, but also something related. And I think it's a way of like you communicate to people and also keep your own self learning, like regularly is very important. And I also think attend like some of the conference or industrial events is important because for example, yes, last night I attended like a marketing, like growth marketing conference. So I learned some new conception that's very popular and the marketing people are caring. So that's very important. Yeah, keep upgrading yourself. Yeah.
Interesting, because we also met through an event. I mean,
Yeah,
so the
that's
which is super cool, because events is something where you can actually connect with people, because you're not trying to find like in a digital screen, but you see this person physically. You're like, hey, this is what I do, and then you tell, and then you see how you can basically connect with this person. So I think events and conferences are really really good, and now I'm seeing that people are actually hungry for events. They want to go to events. You remember when the event when we went, there was a strike going on, and I was worried that it will be empty because there's a strike going on. It
yeah.
was still full. Like the whole thing was, everyone was there. A few people didn't show up, but that's fine. So this shows that people actually want to meet as well. Now, what are your career aspirations post MBA, and how do you plan to achieve them?
For me, I understand my starting point and my goal is like I think the workplace needs female leaders with vision, mission, and a global perspective to change the world. So I have that mission that I want to be a good leader in the next 10 years. So in the like rapid changing and this global business environment, I hope to develop valuable insights and the strategic thinking ability to the more international markets and successfully navigate the complex and challenges of international business. So after I get my post MBA, I hope to focus on spearheading the enterprise global expansion. So that's the thing that I hope to, because I used to be a sales role. So maybe it's like a more international sales and covering like the strategy to go global and also related like management role. Yeah, that's my goal.
Interesting. That's very interesting, and I wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining today, Hanyan. This was truly inspiring, and actually, it was a very fun conversation because we dug deep into topics that normally we don't talk about. Like talking about sales from the sales perspective, and I come from a product perspective. It was actually fun and very engaging, and I hope the people like it. And would you like to share something as a closing remark for our listeners?
I would say first, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I really had a great time of talking to you and also sharing different ideas related. I hope that this conversation could, at least maybe some parts, could be helpful to audience. And also, I would like to say another thing, I think, besides our professional role, it's very important to find our passion of life. Because for me, when I look back of my professional career, I discovered that you have some good friends, can spend some quality time with. It's very important. And also, I have my like hobbies like bouldering, dancing. It becomes my energy to do things. It shaped me like a more positive mindset It could be give me a healthy conditions and have more space to sharpen my mind and to do my things more effective. So I would suggest people, besides professional thing, that take some time to take care of yourself and find the people who you like, and also invest some of the time in these kind of hobbies. And the things you like to do is very important. So in the end, I hope everyone can live a life you like and be with the person you like to live a meaningful life and have more joy.
Thank you, thank you. That's very valuable advice as well. But thank you again, Hanyan. So to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Executives this week. If you found this episode valuable, or you agree or disagree with Hanyan here, feel free to leave a comment or connect with her via LinkedIn. So don't forget to subscribe and share it with your network. Until next time, this is Majid signing off.